Welcome to Business World. I'm your host Siddharth, and on this edition of BW Hotwires, we are talking to Mr. Anant Kataria, CEO of Sagacious IP. Now, this company deals with patents regarding hybrid vehicles and other automotive segments. So let's start this conversation with Mr. Anant. Mr. Anant, welcome to the show.
Hi Siddharth, thank you.
So, Mr. Anant, tell us, with the whole COVID pandemic situation, where companies are trying to run lean and there is a low consumer sentiment as well. So the focus on hybrid model has decreased, or what is the sense with the whole industry?
Right. So, Siddharth, I think the decrease in terms of production, so to say, has been not just limited to hybrid. It's all across the auto industry. What we've seen in terms of our work now, patents don't get published for 18 months. So whatever activity happened in the last few months is not available publicly. So we don't know that yet. But what we are seeing based on our work with companies across the globe, we are seeing that the research is still going on. They are still, the R&D people are still coming up with new inventions, but they've reduced their external spending. So I don't see a lot of filing activity, IP filing activity happening at this time. So even though, the past estimates tell us that hybrid vehicle industry is going to get, to $63 billion by 2025 at a CAGR of 16%. That may not exactly happen because the investment is going down a little bit.
So what are the various kinds of hybrid vehicles and which ones are more common, more research and are going to be the majority in the coming years?
So hybrid vehicles, with different level of usage of battery, different functions that the battery supports, there are various kinds of hybrid vehicles. So there's like a micro hybrid where it's just start-stop. So at the time of starting, the initial power does not come from the engine, but it comes from the battery for a few seconds. And then during idling also, your engine stops and it gets powered through the battery. So this is out there in many vehicles now. So Scorpio, Ciaz, and many Maruti vehicles that have SVHS, they're all like micro hybrid. Then mild hybrid, where there's this start stop plus idling, plus at times when you need high power, high rush. So there at that time both the powers get combined, so engine plus motor. So that's mild hybrid. So for example, Chevrolet Malibu e-Assist, that's in the US, and then several Audi models and several Mercedes models 2018 onwards are mild hybrid. Then series hybrid, where the power to the vehicle comes only through the motor, but then the motor gets charged through the engine. So there is an ICE engine that charges the battery that gives power to the motor, and the motor is the only thing that's running your vehicle. Then parallel, where the engine is also connected to the vehicle directly through the transmission, and it does what it was already doing in the series thing. And then series parallel hybrids or power split. So this is where it changes between series and parallel mode. So for example, when you are in city, then it's in series mode, where only the motor drives the vehicle, and when you are on highway, it turns to parallel mode. So both the let's say the power sources are combining to power your vehicle, and this is very popular. Toyota Prius, that has been like the most successful hybrid vehicle in the market. That is a series parallel or a power split hybrid vehicle. Then there's a plug-in hybrid vehicle, which is very close to an electric vehicle, because here the battery is not getting charged just by your engine and your regenerative braking, but also you can plug it in just like an electric vehicle. And this is also catching, I would say this is like the next step before people get to complete electric. So there's Chevrolet Volt in the US, BMW i8, Ford C-Max. So these are some examples here. In terms of research, what we've seen, so our company has analyzed several patents in this area, and we've analyzed around 80,000 patents, 78,000 to be precise, and we've found that out of those, around 11,000 explicitly talk about power split vehicle, power split hybrid, around 7,000 talk about parallel, and around 5,000 talk about series. So this doesn't total to 78, because 78 is like everything hybrid, and these are the ones that are talking about types of hybrid vehicles. So from this, it's what we've seen in terms of research is that power split is the thing that has been of focus, and that's what's going to continue. But the plug-in component with power split is the next thing that we'll see in the market. In terms of technology, that's what we can predict.
So, Mr. Anant, since you are a patent company, you must be getting a lot of information about future projects of companies and what ideas they are working on. So, tell us, which are these companies which are focusing more on hybrids today?
Now, the leader in this segment in terms of research and technology is quite obvious. It's Toyota, and it's a leader with a big margin. So they have almost 11,000 patent families related to hybrid. And then the next, the runner-up, I would say, is like Hyundai Motor with 3,000 families. So look at the gap. So Toyota is leading by a very big margin here. And then and there's Nissan with 2,800 or so patent families. So and then you'll see almost any company you think of in the auto industry or in the auto space, they are there. They have something on the hybrid area. So it's a highly researched field with companies do even the companies that we see as purely electric, they have something on the hybrid. So for example, BYD in Chinese company, they have around 600 odd patents in hybrid space. In fact, there are quite interesting companies that were traditionally, you would see them not as auto companies, but auto component providers, and that too, those kind of components that have nothing to do with power generation or so. For example, ZF and companies that are into roller bearings and stuff like that. They are significantly into this space. Generating new technologies and filing patents in the hybrid automotive space.
Okay, Mr. Anand, that was really insightful. Now, do you are exposed to a lot of patents from various companies. Do you think companies are equally focused on hybrids as well as electric mobility? Because electric mobility is more of a buzzword with all the OEMs and the governments. So the focus is equal in both the segments, or more on electric and less on hybrids?
What we have seen is that although electric is not just a buzzword, there's a significant amount of research going on in that direction. But what we've seen is that even though when you look at in the market, generally in the consumer sentiment, you hear everyone is gung-ho about electric. We see that the amount of innovation that's happening in the hybrid has not stopped, has not gone down. Companies are still investing significantly in the hybrid space. So there's almost 5,000 to 6,000 new inventions being filed, new patents being filed. So think of 15,000 inventions being generated and 5,000 to 6,000 being filed as patents every year in the hybrid space as well. And it's been consistent. For the last 10 years, this has been happening. And the number of and the activity in the last 10 years in hybrid is twice the activity, as compared to the previous decade. So you see, even though electric is the buzzword, and I'm not saying electric is an area where the research is not happening, there's probably an equivalent or even more research that's happening in the electric space, and which is logical. It should happen. 15-20 years down the line, we will get to purely electric, but at this stage there's a lot of work in the hybrid space as well. So it's I would say more than the market buzz. The work in hybrid is more than the buzz about hybrid.
Okay, Mr. Anand. Now, one question. Since you are the expert on patents and you have the research as well, we all understand Toyota is leading this pack on hybrid, and Japan is also one of the countries which is heading this. So, tell us about what other countries and what other surprises are you seeing in your research about hybrid patents?
So what we are seeing is, even though traditionally you would see, Toyota and Japan one would think Toyota and Japan are going to be the leader in terms of, Toyota is the leader, but in terms of countries, you would see, okay, Japan is going to be the leader. But that's not the case. In terms of IP filing, just number of patents being filed, China is the world leader. They have over 20,000 patents filed in the space of hybrid vehicles. But they have two types of patents in China. So I would say around 16,000 are new invention patents. Then comes Japan, and Japan is above US here. So Japan has around 16,500 or so. So a lot of activity in Japan, more than US. US is very close third. One thing that's, I would say, might surprise some people, but not all. There's a lot of auto activity in India. So there's research also that's happening, but at the same time, India is a good auto market. So because of that, people are filing patents in India also. So there are close to 2,500 patents in hybrid space alone that have been filed in India. So that's not a big surprise, but might come out as surprising. So when I look at the map, the distribution of research activity in the hybrid space all over the map, I see Europe. Germany is the leader in Europe. But then what's also interesting is that there are only a few countries that are left without any research happening in the hybrid space. There's almost all the countries have some sort of activity going on. For example, Indonesia has around 50 or so patents coming out of Indonesia on hybrid vehicles as well. So it's quite interesting the way the research is spread globally.
So, any interesting new entrant or startup which got involved in IP or hybrid vehicles recently?
Yeah, there are a few. There's a company called Byton, Byton. They were launched in 2016, and they have that's a company to watch for. They have good hybrid as well as electric vehicle technology that they are developing, and quite interesting. They in the hybrid space also they have around 50 odd patents that they've filed, and I think this is a company that's new, but that's going very well. So it was founded in 2016, so it's pretty new, but it's doing good. So it's a company to watch for. Another company which I found quite surprising was a US-based company called TomCar. So this company initially, it started manufacturing light trucks and utility vehicles for US military, and this is a company based in Phoenix, Arizona. And so when you look at their vehicles, you'll see they're so rugged, high power kind of muscle vehicles. But then when you look at what's the technology behind some of their models, that's those vehicles which you see off-roading, they're actually hybrid vehicles. So that's pretty cool. I think this is also a company which we should look at, and their research to see how they are utilizing this electric hybrid technology in let's say in areas which you would usually not relate to such technology or non-ICE technology.
So Mr. Anand, battery cell technology is a key driving factor for hybrids as well as electric mobility. So we all are dependent on lithium-ion cells, which are on a short supply. We can consider them as fossil fuels as well. So, and we are also dependent on China for that. A few countries, China and Korea. So with your expertise on patents and your exposure to research, tell us, what do you see in this particular category happening?
Yeah, this is quite interesting, as there's a lot of activity happening in the space of, I would say, battery or power source for electric vehicles. And even though majorly, like you pointed out, a lot of research points to lithium-ion battery, but that's the past. I mean, if you look at all the IP activity so far, you'll see a lot of it has been in the space of lithium-ion battery. And but the interesting thing is to look at the outliers, or look at the new things that are coming up. So we've also seen a significant amount of activity in hydrogen fuel cells. So there's a lot of research activity happening around there, and it's increasing. And for sure, a significant number of IP that we come across has to do with something about the battery, whether it's new type of battery, whether it's improving the same battery and trying to make it more efficient, ability to store more charge, more power, ability to reduce weight to ensure that reduce charging time, reduce weight, all these things. And there is a lot of activity happening around there. So that's why the hybrid and electric, they're not just the buzzword. There's a significant activity happening in making sure that these things see the light of the day, that there would be a time, few years down the line, when you'll have batteries that can run for more than 4 kilometers. I mean, that can store power to make you run higher mileage, that can charge quickly, and that have lower weight so that they don't, impact the performance of your vehicle when you are running. So there's a lot of activity happening around there.
So do you foresee collaborations or joint ventures among companies or universities IP for the domain? If yes, you can talk about that.
So, Toyota and Suzuki, they, deepened their ties by buying small stakes in each other, and then they first came together around 2017 to build hybrid vehicles for Indian market. So, Toyota is supplying their hybrid technology to Suzuki. So this is a very interesting, I would say, collaboration which has happened in this industry. And Tata, JLR, we know Tata acquired JLR, and then they have Jaguar I-PACE. So that's not per se a collaboration for the hybrid technology, but that's what we can say. Yeah, Tata did that, and that's how Jaguar I-PACE is coming out in the market. But there's a significant amount of work that's happening in universities, which we generally don't get to know. So a lot of, in the electric and hybrid vehicle space also, there's a lot of research that's still very, fundamental, in the sense that it is not just application research that, okay, this is a new technology, let's apply it here. It's about finding out new materials for the battery and stuff like that. So this kind of research people don't do in companies. They work with universities, PhD researchers will take on those projects and work on those, and maybe spend 3-4 years, and they'll come up with something. And then if it's good enough, a company will take it and bring it into the market. And majority of this research is funded by companies. So for example, Toyota is going to be funding a Japanese university or a US university. So what we've seen is that a lot of universities in UK are working on this, in US also. For example, Cardiff University, Cambridge University, Stanford University, MIT, University of Surrey, Michigan University, they're all significantly filing patents in this space. And a lot of it is funded by automotive companies, and many of these are like the patents you see, they are co-owned by universities and automotive companies. And it's, I can't pinpoint a particular company that's doing that, because all of them are doing that. All of them are working with universities. UK government is funding these universities as well to help them come up with new technology. So for example, there's a good amount of funding that UK government has given to University of Cambridge to develop low carbon economy related inventions and so on.
So now, Mr. Anand, tell us, India is a country full of startups.
Right.
And there's a lot of development and innovations and new technologies coming out of India. So now tell us, do you see any patents being filed in the hybrid space, in the electric space, in the whole mobility space from India, if the number is less, then what are the challenges in filing a patent in India?
That's a very interesting question, and Siddharth, I would say the patent filing activity in India overall, like you mentioned, there are so many startups. It has grown exponentially. It's growing very well. Awareness about patents and their use in the market is growing significantly. Traditionally, it was seen that okay, even if you have a patent in India, it's not so enforceable. You may or may not be able to stop people from copying your invention, even if you have a patent. But that perception is changing. That was a thought which was in people's mind because of certain cases, but that's changing significantly because the enforcement is increasing. Now you see cases where an individual or a small company with a patent is able to assert it against a big company, stop them. So those things are happening in India. Government has invested a lot in making the patent office more robust. So earlier it used to take a long time to get a patent granted after you file it. It was several years, so maybe 5, 6, 7 years. Worldwide, this time frame is 2 to 4 years from country to country. And in India, it has also come down to the same range. And in fact, there are ways in which you can get a patent granted in India in less than 1.5 years. So it's really changed. And that coupled with more startups in India that have global exposure, that have money coming in from US or China, or that have founders who've gone to different countries and then come back. So they are more and more, aware about IP and patenting. So what they do is that while they're starting research, they also implement a patent filing or an invention capture process within their company. And we are supporting many startups in that area. And quite interestingly, we're supporting many electric vehicle startups in that area in India also. And not just, not just cars. So electric vehicles in India in all, two-wheeler space as well. So companies are very aggressive now in terms of, okay, I'm inventing this and I want to protect it. And not just in India, I want to protect it in India, in US, because people are coming up with groundbreaking technologies in India these days. So this is, I think it's remarkable what's happening right now.
So, Mr. Anand, tell us Sagacious IP. How does it, what does it do? How does it work? And how would it be beneficial for startups in India?
Right. So Sagacious IP, when we started as a company that used to support, like you mentioned, patent is a Western world term or a US term or stuff like that. So majority of our customers when we started in 2008 were outside India. They were in the US, Japan, Europe, China, not China so much, but on all these other countries. And we learned a lot working with people in these countries, their approach towards innovation, their approach towards thinking globally right from the beginning, their approach towards solving problems that existed in their market by doing research on what's already been done and just implementing it. So with all that, we brought that global exposure, and around 2015 or 2016, we started working very closely with Indian inventors, Indian startups. So there was a program by FICCI called India Innovation Growth Program, where we mentored close to 13 to 1400 startups in different capacities. With some, it was just about evaluating what they were doing, and with some, it was about working closely with them and identifying, okay, this is what you should do in terms of taking your invention forward to the market. And what we've done now is that we've launched a virtual IP council program. So what that means is that we know for many companies, especially in the startups space, even though it's very important that they have an invention capture process, because that's what they're building as a part of the value of their company. So tomorrow, a startup is here, and a few years down the line, they're working on the business. which product market fit takes time, but they are developing some technology or some invention. So if they keep protecting that invention in form of patents, those are the assets that they are creating, right? So even if the business does not do well, this asset itself will create a value. So probably this itself is worth a few $1 million, even if the business is not doing well. So that means that every startup should be thinking in this direction, that whatever they are creating as their inventions, how to protect that. What we are doing is, we are saying you do not need to hire an IP counsel or a senior person to do that. Sagacious offers a virtual IP counsel, so you don't need a full-time person there. You just we are there to support you. To help with you in your IP strategy, to bring in that process in your company, to work with all the people in your company, not just R&D people. Everyone invents in one way or the other. So as long as they know that whatever they are working on is very similar to something that was patented, let's say 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago in a different country, they kind of start to see that what they are doing is an invention, is patentable. So we work right at that stage, bringing that mindset change and then helping people capture the invention.
So, Mr. Anant, to end this conversation, you believe that hybrids are here and they are not a thing of the past. They are here, and we will be seeing more companies investing and bringing out hybrid products.
Indeed, that's what I think. I think next few years are for the hybrids, but 15-20 years down the line, it's going to be electric. But hybrid is the one that will change the customer mindset from ICE to be ready to take on electric. Right now, electric is fancy. People are experimenting with electric, but to get it to mainstream, it will go through the hybrid way.
Great. Thank you for talking to us, Mr. Anant, and have a great day. Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks.